Welcome to the first ever episode just for you, centered around the life and crimes of Amelia Dyer. You can imagine it as part of a true crime podcast series called The Darkest Corners after the Postmortem, where each episode dives into the lives of history's most disturbing criminals. The episode title, Amelia Dyer, the Baby Butcher of Victorian England. Welcome to the Darkest Corners after the Postmortem, the show where we dive into the lives of history's most terrifying figures. I'm your host, Sandra Pink, and today we're exploring the case of one of England's most notorious chilling killers, Amelia Dyer, the ogress of reading. Brace yourself because this story will take us deep into the horrors of Victorian England. The early years. Amelia Dyer was born in 1837 into a world of rapid industrial changes and severe social inequality. She trained as a nurse in her youth, but her life would take a darker turn as she found a way to exploit one of Victorian society's great vulnerabilities, unwanted pregnancies. As a poor widow with a child of her own, Amelia turned to baby farming, a common practice in which women would take in infants for a fee, promising to find them better homes or raise them. But unlike other baby farmers who may have tried to care for these children in overcrowded conditions, Dyer had no such intentions. She saw in these vulnerable infants only an opportunity for quick money, and her method of dealing with them was as heartless as it was efficient. The murders. Amelia Dyer's baby farming operation became a front for one of the most heinous murder sprees in British history. For decades, Dyer took in children, collecting fees from desperate mothers, only to murder the infants shortly after. At first, she would starve them or give them strong drugs, but soon she turned to quicker, more brutal methods, strangling the babies with white tape. The most horrifying part, she continued this for over 20 years. The number of lives she took is unknown, but estimates range into the hundreds, making her one of history's most prolific serial killer. And all the while, Amelia presented herself as a charitable woman, someone helping unwedded mothers and orphaned infants. The downfall. In 1896, a baby's body was found floating in the Thames River, wrapped in a package that bore a critical clue, a label from Amelia Dyer's home. This discovery set off a massive investigation that led to her arrest. When police searched her home, they found evidence of her crimes, including the white tape she used to strangle her victims. Amelia Dyer was sentenced to death after a short trial, during which she showed no remorse for the lives she had taken. On June 10, 1896, she was hung at Newgate Prison, but the question of her case rises linger long after her death. How could Victorian society, with its rigid moral codes, have allowed such an atrocity to occur, and how many more children died at the hands of these terrible baby farmers before stricter regulations were finally put in place? The legacy. The story of Amelia Dyer is more than just a tale of a twisted serial killer. It's a reflection of the failures of Victorian England, a society that provided few opportunities for women in poverty, that stigmatized unwed mothers, and that turned a blind eye to the most vulnerable members of its population. Today, we look back at Dyer's crimes with horror, but we also have to ask ourselves what conditions allowed this to happen, and could it ever happen again? Thank you for joining me on the darkest corners after the postmortem. Until next time, remember, the darkest stories are often hidden just beneath the surface.